Hello, hello, welcome. I hope you're doing fine today. And in this video, we are going to talk about a little bit about the third and the fourth chakra and a couple of things related to them. Okay, so if you have not watched yet the video of the first and second chakra, I recommend you to do so. Okay, because what we are doing here actually is whenever we are grounded, remember that this energy goes up or down. All right, also from the inside out, outside in. We are doing this path up. So we start by being grounded in by being grounded. This is our first chakra. Whenever we are able to sustain our life in this earth, we go through to the second chakra where we explore our emotions. And whenever we are ready to be able to be fluid and be in the flow, we come to the third chakra. The third chakra is represented by the element fire. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. That's how the third chakra looks like. Okay, so the location is the solar plexus here, right in the starting of your stomach. Um, the purpose of this chakra is energy and will. Okay, this chakra is also related to action. So, what is your strength, your power of acting? Um, the identity of this chakra is the ego identity. And the orientation of this chakra is self-definition. And what is the demon of this chakra? Shame. So let's talk a little bit about our egos. Okay, so this chakra talks about our right to act. However, it's important that we understand that our actions, when they are healthy, they don't come with the control. It's much more focused in the direction. Okay, so before I start, I want to say the excessive, for you to know if you have excessive energy on this chakra or deficient energy on this chakra, and how it looks like when it's balanced. Okay, so whenever you have excessive energy in this chakra, you might feel that you are dominating, controlling, competitive, arrogant, stubborn, driven, and attracted to sedatives. If you have deficient characteristics in this chakra, you will feel passivity, lack of energy, tendency to be cold, tendency towards submission, blaming, low self esteem, lack of confidence, and weak will. Also, poor self discipline. Reminding you, if you have not watched the, the first video, is um, all the chakras, they're going to be or with excessive energy or deficient energy or balanced. So it's okay if you have some characteristics on the excessive and some in the deficient. You know, sometimes it's just obvious because we have all the deficient. So we know we have to work bringing energy into that chakra. Sometimes when it's pretty like, okay, I feel a little bit this way and I feel a little bit that way, then we look how this chakra looks like when it's balanced. What are the characteristics when this chakra is balanced? And that's where we are going to aim our work towards. So you're going to be a person responsible, reliable, a good self-discipline, positive sense of self, confidence, energetic, spontaneous, playful, able to take risks. So, with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about ego. You know, there is a lot of misconceptions regarding this part of ourselves. So my intention is to bring here the in the simplest way I can an understanding of the ego to you. So first of all, we have to understand that the healthy ego, okay, so I'm going to call the strong ego. So the healthy ego, the function of the ego in our life is to allow us to act, right? So the healthy ego actually simply organizes. It is what is in this energy center that we are able, for example, okay, I got this idea, this insight. Now I have to put into manifestation in this earth. So the ego is going to organize what are the actions needed for you to be able to bring this into our world. Meaning, maybe you have to study, maybe you have to make that call, maybe you have to, I don't know, get an office. I don't know. The ego, the healthy ego, is there with a simple task of organization. Whatever it's not, um, whenever our ego is not dealing simply with organization, we are in our unhealthy ego, in our weak ego. And what do you mean by that? The ego. Imagine the ego in this way. Okay, there is yourself there, and the ego is that part of you that limits yourself. So imagine yourself, and you're going to imagine a wall surrounding you. Okay, so this wall might be super close to you, or it might be a little bit further away. But the point is, the ego is what limits us. Okay, so what we have to do with that is transpose the ego. And how do we do that? It's not by denying our ego, it's not by pretending it's not there, it's actually by working on ourselves in order to be able to open this space until the ego transcends its own self. And why this is so hard? Because the ego truly believes that we are separate from everything around us, from people, from situations. It creates that separativeness. So, when I was telling you about the weak ego, why is so hard to transcend the ego? Because in our ego is contains our pride, our fear, our obstination, our resistances, our whenever we want to provoke someone, our um, rigidity, also our superiority. The ego sees itself separated from others. So the ego is that guy, the weak ego is that guy that is telling you, you are better than that person because of this, this, this. The ego wants to be right. So that's why you get into fights with people, because the ego is believes it is preserving yourself. However, what it's doing is simply maintaining you in that limited space. Whenever you are able to perceive your ego, look at your ego, allow these emotions to come to you whenever you feel inferior, for example, or wronged, or whatever it is, and you don't engage in this discussion, you might feel momentarily that you are going to die, but that's your ego. And whenever you're able to do that, you started to push this wall that the ego builds around you a little bit further. So that's the beauty of it. How do we transpose the ego? Well, you understand what the ego is, okay? And you catch the ego in the scene, and then you decide to do differently. And the most interesting thing is, if you really think about it, we live in a society that most of the people, literally believe they are their ego. We don't understand. We are constantly in these defense mechanisms. We're a lot of times comparing ourselves. What does that make to us? Well, remember that I told you here before that not there is no any part of us that is actually against us. There are parts of us that are trying to protect us from something. We don't want to feel pain. However, I invite you to start truly looking at your ego. Everything you identify with that makes you believe you are something else than your authentic self, your true self. You know? So for example, this chakra, I said that the demon of this chakra is shame. How does this relate to your ego? Well, when do you feel ashamed? You feel ashamed when you relate who you are to what you are doing. So let me give you an example. You're doing something, you do something wrong, and people call your attention. Then you feel ashamed. This is your ego believing you are going to die. You're going to be annihilated. And it's so crazy that we engage in these little battles so many times during one day. And we don't realize that this is our ego making us stay inside its delimitation. So, while you believe this is protecting you, it's actually the opposite. It's not allowing you to do this jump and keep evolving your journey. I want to invite you to watch the movie Forrest Gump if you, again, if you have done it, uh, by but observe how the character does not have an ego, and try to look and watch this movie in this way, and you will notice that every time he transposes the ego that he doesn't have, the universe gives the steps. Because whenever we feel ashamed or something, right, that I was telling you here, uh, this also can cause us lack of self-confidence. Okay, so it's important that we understand that a weak ego has to be healed. I am not telling you here that the ego is not important, but I already told you, and I want to recap. The ego is only important to give you the power to act and to organize uh, whatever you need in order to be able to manifest. Okay, so if you see the Forrest Gump, you see the guy like didn't want to, the dog didn't want to give love. It's okay. The next day he's there. He's not driven by his ego. And that's what is happening in our society mainly. So I truly invite you to start observing your ego. And every time you see you are in your unhealthy ego, ask yourself, how can I do this differently? Okay? So let me see if there is anything else that we could talk about. The guys, please give me a second. Thank you. Yes. So whenever we transpose this ego, the unhealthy ego, we start tapping into our real power. But just like you go to the gym to exercise your muscles, and you need consistency in order to for your muscle to start creating strength, it's exactly the same thing with your power. You need consistency. You need to be able to feel the discomfort that transposing the ego will cause on you. However, whenever you are able to do that, you're going to be able to start tapping your true power. And that's why I told you about the Forrest Gump. Because whenever you are in your authentic power that you have been exercising just like a muscle, you will see that you trust life. And when you trust life, the universe gives you the steps. But first, you have to give the first step, and then the universe will give you the soil. Okay, so right now, we're going to talk a little bit about the fourth chakra that actually looks like this. Our fourth chakra, first of all, is our heart chakra. Okay. Um, the identity of this chakra is our social identity. The orientation is self acceptance. And the demon of this chakra is grief. So let's start by uh, understanding if you have excessive energy in this chakra or deficient energy on this chakra. If you have excessive energy, you will feel codependency, focusing too much on others, poor boundaries, jealousy, being a martyr, being a pleaser. If you have deficient energy on this chakra, you will feel antisocial, critical, intolerant, lonely, isolated, lack of empathy, and fear of intimacy. The balanced characteristics of these chakras are caring, compassionate, accepting, empathetic, self loving, peaceful, centered, and content. Yes, exactly. So Fernanda is saying here about jealousy. Yeah, that it's really hard for her to work on her jealousy. Well, perfect. So just like, guys, please relax. Thank you. Fernanda, so I'm gonna go into the jealousy part in a second, okay? But I wanted to bring this to our attention, which is our parents, a lot of times, or not all the time, but sometimes, they often withdraw love from the children whenever they want to punish them for inappropriate behavior or whatever the child have done. The problem is, a lot of adults, we do this. We keep repeating this in our adult life. And that's why relating to someone is the biggest opportunity our soul has to evolve. Because whenever I'm relating, and I'm not talking here about only couples relationship, I'm talking about relating. You relate to a lot of people, okay? And the thing about this is, we don't know really how to relate. Why? We expect the other to, guys, please sit, Linda. Good girl. Well, no light anymore, I'm sorry. So we expect the other to relate to us in the way that we want, in the way that we relate. When we feel jealous, we believe that the other is causing us that feeling. We forget that every single person is simply a reflection, come here, Linda, of us. Sorry. Now we're going to be able to talk. It's simply a reflection of our own selves. So if I'm seeing something in that person, I am being called to heal that on me. Okay? Remember that you can never choose how someone will love or relate to you. Your power lies where you have the choice to choose. This person gives me this type of love. Do I want this type of love? Yes or no? Okay, so jealousy, for example, you might believe that if your partner didn't do this or didn't do that, you wouldn't feel that way. But the truth truly is, your partner is simply triggering something on you that you already have. And this might come from your insecurity. This might come from you not having confidence in yourself. That we just talk about the third chakra. So you see how the energy keeps moving up? First, we have to be grounded, then we flow through our emotions, create, Then we put the fire in order to manifest. Now we go to the heart. That is the chakra that actually unites the upper chakras with the lower chakras. That's why every time we are working in any chakra, we are working as well in our heart chakra. That's an invitation I'm making to you. This is the biggest lesson we came to learn in this planet school: how to love, but how to love unconditionally. Fernanda, going back to your jealousy, uh, instead of you focusing in the actions of the other, I invite you to start working to develop your self confidence, your sense of merit, because you do deserve to be loved. We sometimes forget, our ego sometimes believe that um, I'm just worthy to be loved if I am perfect, if I don't make any mistakes, if I do something. We don't simply know in ourselves that we deserve to be loved just because, just because, just because you were born. Okay, so this is a really important chakra for us to work, as I already mentioned to you. And let's talk a little bit about the grief of this chakra. Oh, I'm sorry, about the demon of this chakra, which is grief. And grief can be caused by rejection, by betrayal, or by a loss. How do we deal with grief? First of all, we need to understand that we have to learn how to feel. Our ego believes that feeling is weakness. If I feel, I'm going to be vulnerable because people will be able to hurt me. So, first of all, is the understanding that I decide that I don't want anymore to put my feelings under the rug or pretend they're not there. So now I'm going to start naming my feelings. As I already told you here a couple of times, let's start opening up those feelings. If you come and you say, I am feeling afraid. Okay, great. We reached one point, afraid. Now we go a little bit deeper. Afraid of what? By the way, if you haven't watched about the real fear and the non-real fear, watch that video. But afraid of what? I'm afraid of being judged. Okay, so now, great, we took one more step. Then I'm gonna ask you, what will happen to you if you are judged? So that's how you are opening up your feelings. So it's important that we truly start naming the feelings. So whenever you are in grief, okay, uh, and you allow yourself in a safe space to experience that grief, let that grief vibrate on you. Let it go out in the way it has to come. If it is by crying, if it is by screaming into a pillow, if it is by moving your body, let it come. Let it be fully experienced, because that's the only way we are able to release it. Okay, so that's about the demon of this chakra. I want to talk also a little bit about rejection, which we go back to in our journey to the true self. I hope you remember that the inner child is the one that feels the pain. And we can summarize all the pains into three categories, which are the pain of rejection, the pain of exclusion, and the pain of abandonment. We all, as human beings, feel these pains in different, obviously, proportions, in different areas of our lives, and so on. And this is because they are stored in our unconscious, right? Remember where we talked when that the kid is this little sponge and it doesn't have the capacity. You as a kid, like you really as a child, you didn't have the capacity to um, to deal with reality. For example, you might have felt rejected when your parents went to work because as a kid from 0 to 7 years, you don't have the capacity to understand that, oh, they have to go out because they have to bring money to the house. No, how you see it? Oh, they always leave me. This is just one example. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. And you feel rejected. The problem with this is it's in our unconscious, and we keep repeating this in our adult life, in our new relationships, because we try to heal whatever we felt with our parents. So, whenever we are aware of that, that's the first step that we need to do. The second step is great. Now, let me talk. Let me tell you the reality. Why am I afraid of being rejected? First, was I really rejected? Second, am I afraid of being rejected? If I am rejected, what is going to happen? Oh, wow, no one ever was liked by everybody on the planet. That's why we are 7 billion people here with 7 billion different content internal material. It is going to be impossible for you to please everyone. So, going back to something in this chakra as well, which is about pleasing, right? If you have, yeah, we talked here, right, about pleasing people. So, why do you want to please people? Do you just see your value when the other person validates you? And this happens because you are a people's pleaser. So I invite you to start to know in this path, in this journey through the chakras, you start opening up these feelings. So the idea is always going to be understand if it is excessive or if it is deficient. And then you're going to work with the elements, or you're going to work with the archetypes of the elements, or with breathing techniques, exercises. But mainly, the most important is start every day being conscious, catching your ego when your unhealthy ego, your weak ego, when it's into play and is trying to keep you limited, and transposing it. Okay, and in the case of the heart chakra, allowing your emotions in a safe space, okay, whenever you feel safe to express themselves, because the way is never going to be around it, it's always going to be through it. Okay, so this is our video of today. Next week, we're gonna keep going with our chakras. And yes, you in the portal, you have download the PDF here. We have a lot of exercises for us to start working in the chakras. You have your ebook here. Also, I invite you to watch the videos where I talk more in depth about this chakras. Is the next video. And for you who are not in the portal, if you want to receive the ebook, just DM me your email and I will send you the ebook. Okay? So I hope you guys have a great weekend and I will see you on Tuesday. Bye bye.